Today on Bookshots, I'm with Kirsten Tranter, the author of the very intriguing novel A Common Loss, about what happens to a group of male friends when one of them dies. So Kirsten, I have to ask you, since you have actually used this idea before in your first novel, A Legacy, of a friend dying, is this something that you've got personal experience of?
When I was writing The Legacy, that story took shape around this plot idea that involved a mystery around a disappearance on 9/11. So that was how that took shape, and I was living in New York on 9/11 and experienced that, although I didn't lose anyone. I didn't know anyone who was killed in the attacks on the towers, but I did. While I was writing The Legacy, during those years, I did lose 2 friends. Yes, so I think that's something I'm probably drawn back to writing about.
Now, you've set this novel in Las Vegas. What made you choose that city?
Vegas was the right setting for this story, I think, because it's the way it evokes some of the themes that are interesting to me about authenticity and things being fake or real, and particularly the way that it's this space that I think a lot of people have a set of ideas about and preconceptions about, and those preconceptions involve it being sort of shallow and soulless and really tasteless and really tacky. So I was interested in contrasting that and putting that in tension with a group of people who you might not necessarily expect to embrace it, and a story that was emotionally really dark and complicated, and see, like, what does that look like against this setting?
All the brashness of Vegas. And did you go to Vegas yourself?
Yes, I did. I went to Vegas for a research trip. I found it really fascinating and also sort of repellent and interesting at the same time. A lot of paradoxes and complexities. I was sort of surprised by how beautiful some of it was and how interesting it was, and also was also really disturbed by the kind of just self-destructiveness that you see on parade 24 hours a day there, with the gambling. But gambling isn't something that I could personally get very excited about, and that was a bit challenging.
Now, when this group of friends meet, they're all at an American university, kind of just one rung down, I guess, from an Ivy League university. What interested you about that college world in the States? There's
a number of different sort of residential worlds on those campuses, and yes, there's the frat houses, and one of them, Tallis, does belong to a fraternity house and lives in a fraternity house for a while, and an important part of the story revolves around the kinds of things that happen in those places. And when I lived in the States and was at university over there, I did hear the kind of stories that you hear about those places, and the parties that happen at them, and kind of disturbing institutionalised misogyny that you get at those places. It's not all that different from what you find at some of the more privileged upper class residential colleges here in Australia. It's actually not all that different.
What we saw in the movie The Social Network, that shows that
very much.
Very well,
in fact, when I saw that movie, I thought, that's the party that my friend at Harvard described to me. Oh my God, that's it. Where they bust the girls in. Yeah, that's that world. But then there's these other worlds. So those are the fraternity houses. They're really exclusive. They're hard to get into. They're obviously really expensive. They operate in this network of old school Thai privilege. And then there's just the ordinary dorms where other students live on campus. And that's where Elliot lives, my character. He just lives in the dorms. And they're, they have their own party life and social life, and then people live off campus as well. And so when Tallis leaves the fraternity house, he goes and has an apartment on his own, and that's seen as quite sophisticated and independent. So yeah, there is the spectrum of college life.
Thank you very much, Kirsten Tranter. And A Common Loss is a great read, particularly if you like strong plot, plenty of psychological complexity and tension.